This conference will now be recorded.
So we are starting with the unit 4. I have left out with one or two topics of the unit 4, and we will discuss this. I think we left out with the kernel debuggers. So for the unit 4, almost everything is finished except the few things which I'm going to here to discuss it over and finish it up. I have discussed this is just a screenshot for 10 minutes. I'm giving you what we have discussed so far in the unit 4. So that is basically your processes, the basic commands about the PS trees, kill command, kill all, and the top commands. These are the few commands related to processes, kill all, PS trees, and your top command to get the system overview. Then we have discussed these other commands like FG command, BT command, kill all, kill, %n, that is your process ID, the number of jobs. The jobs are running on the Linux, then Control C and Control Z. Then we discuss about the PS command, about the options of the PS command we have discussed so far, A, C, D, E, F, all the list we have discussed so far, that how the process will command with various options will run. Then to kill command we have discussed that to kill any of the process, then the kill process ID. Then to specific user wise you want to see the processes, then PS user and user name. Then a help command for starting a manual for the processes. Then for all the processes you have the -a, and for terminal wise you have the option T. Similarly, sleep command to make a system pause for a few seconds. Kill command. Then to see the hierarchical structure of your processes, that who is a parent and who is a child and who are the all users. Then the T structure, hierarchical from parent to child relationship. Then we have discussed about top to check the system resources. To check the visualization processes, we have to use the PS tree command. Then I have discussed about the process management. I have discussed that what how to create a process. Then there are three methods: process execution, process forking, and the wait. So three for the process creation. You are not running your program. It's just a static, it's just called as your program. And when the program is in running state, it's called the process. And you can create the process by using the fork system call command. Then how it is created, then priorities, all the priorities are there. The nice command and reach nice command, that is means changing the priority and allocating a priority. So it range from -20 to +20. This is the highest priority is -20. That means it has to be urgently done, and +20 it can be goes up to lowest priority. So nice values. You can make use of nice command in this way: nice -20 and your process ID or the name of your process. Similarly, you can renices. Renices is either a root directory or your administrator who can renize your command priority, changing the priority to any of the, and that is a process ID. Normal priority is given to as 0, and you can change it to -20 to +20. This is the execution of your PS command. with the options, like for example ps command, and these are the various arguments that is default, by default is presented on the command prompt, like the process id, the process terminal, time, and this ps tree. Then I'm discussed about the kernel, user space and kernel space. User space has application libraries, and kernel is about to everything to managed. Fine. So that is your kernel process. It consists of your file management, IO, device, and everything, and resource management, your to memory management, to your IO functions, and to also maintain your system hardware, to communicate with the system hardware. So these are the all your OS internals, all components. Then this is Linux architecture. Fine. So this are the architecture you can able to make it out in this case. Then these are your various kernel with user spaces, your program, your kernels, everything that consists of your one domain and second domain. Then I've discussed these are the threads. So far discusses process management. I have discussed it. These are all your, this is important, various cycles of your processes. So these are all being discussed, and what do you mean by the states, ready state, running state, and exit state. Then I've discussed about the process descriptors, and the data structure is very most important is your task structure, and process descriptor is nothing to maintain about the information about each processes, and that data structures consist of your task structure. So task structures has the various information about the priority, scheduling, and this. Then this is the pointers. Task structure has a pointer called task structure pointer. Similarly, threads information. Similarly, each kernel has a stack pointers also, and pointers to maintain your everything. So these are the, this is the actually a block diagram of your task structure. Various pointers to point to other memory locations and fetch the informations. This is the process state diagram of each process. Discussed already. This is the diagram for process family tree discussed. Scheduling algorithm, I have discussed that there are three scheduling algorithms. One is about your time sharing, and second time is your real-time analysis. So depends upon your priority based preemptive scheduling algorithm. In between any process came with a higher priority, then the CPU is allocated to that process. So that is called as your priority based preemptive scheduling algorithms. So real time, the priority can be 0 to 99, and nice value can be given from 100 to 140. Priority based preemptive with global round robin scheduling. Round robin means according to your time base. The period will have a shorter time with the have the highest priority is scheduled for the execution, and CPU is given to that process. So priority, higher priority, preemptive, in between, CPU can left and serve the process will have the higher priority, and that process is called as your round robin. So each process has a certain number of scheduling credits or a time limit, and timer is interrupt in currently run just losing the one credit. When the process having the lesser time and the higher priority, the CPU will serve that process. Already discussed scheduling. 0 has a relatively highest priority and 140 has the lowest, and these are numeric values, real time task and other time. And now these are the values for your priorities. It can be a FIFO, first in first out. It can be round robin, depends upon the real time processes, that who has been arrived with the lower priority and the lower time will be served. And there are other scheduling algorithms like preemptive, non-preemptives, other things are also there. that discuss about the system calls. These are the all system calls discussed so far, and these are all maintained accessed by your API that is called as your application programming interface. These all systems calls are written in your high level languages C or C++, and these are all provided by your OS. These are your library functions, fine, and they are indirectly or directly calling your system calls. Kernel is directly or indirectly calling your system calls and communicating with your hardware. Similarly, you can execute the programs by calling your system programs or system functions. Fine, so these are the executable programs written by user, and these are the functions, DLLs, or user-defined system-defined function that is called by this. And indirectly, they are called the system calls. Fine, so they are the few system calls already been discussed: read, write, open, close, exit, forking, and these are the name. These are the name of the system calls, and these are the functions which are written for them. So these are all your system calls. So parent can use a fork for dividing into a child. Child can exit. Similarly, child can wait, and parent can also wait for the resources. So this is just a cycle to represent how the forking is done, how the child process is created, and how the now methods of system calls and methods. Two methods developing our own system calls. One is your kernel module, and one is to modify the source code of your Linux directly. This been already discussed, parent and your child. Fine. So these are being discussed already, that forking is done with the PID 00 child processes, your parent processes, and how the execution. This is your child process, this is your parent processes. And if the PID is equal to 0, then child process has a new PID, that's your PPID, otherwise the parent process. If PID is 0, then the child has a PPID, parent process ID, else it is a parent process. Fine. So the next one is these are your system calls. Hello. I think the screen is everyone. Okay, so these are your system calls and the descriptions of the system calls.
One is saying they
I
can't join them.
I think, logged the meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
This conference will now be recorded.
So we are discussing about the processes, scheduling. We are discussing about the system calls. So these are all your system calls. Like for example, I've already discussed about this one. SIG action. Signals are also there. In the last class, I've discussed about the signals. So SIG action is one of the SIG return, SIG pending. So these are the all signals generated commands. Similarly, killing the processes, alarm is there to pause any processes, forking for wait any process, the wait PID is there to execute any of your message, then exe, then message queue is also there. There's n number of commands, system defined calls in between. You can call and communicate between the processors. Fine. So these are your few system commands. So we are left out with the last topic of this one is your debuggers. Debugging is basically, there are two types of debuggers which you found in your Linux, that is KGDB and KDB. Debuggers is basically to sort it out, to check debugging. Why we do debugging in the kernel? Debugging in Linux kernel is used by GDB or KGDB. GDB stands for, DB stands for debugging, and G stands for your GNU project, journal license, your project, GNU project, that is started by the Linux. So that is why it is GDB. So majority of the day-to-day kernel debugging is done by adding print statement to the code by using the famous printk function. This technique is well described in kernel debugging tips. Using printk is relatively simple and effective, very cheap way to solve the problems. Debugging is to check for the problems where system your crashes. For example, you want to check the compiler or the shell. You want to check what kind of problem that has been occurred so that your system has suffered any problem or any crash or any interrupt. So that is for you using the debugging. And GDB stands for GNU Project Debugger, a powerful debugging tool. Along with other languages, it helps you to poke inside your C programs while they're executing, and also allows to see what exactly happens when your programs crashes. So debugging is to check that where your program is actually occurring a problem, any file is not found, any miscalculation is there, or any kind of problem is there, then you use the debugging. And there are two famous debugging tools that is uses your KDP or KGDB. Fine. So generally debuggers plays a vital role in any software development system. Nobody can bug a free code all at once. You cannot write a code just in one go and without any bugs. So there are bugs in a code. During the course of development, bugs are being raised, need to be solved for further enhancement. A development method is incomplete actually without a debugger. So considering an open source, Linux is open source, so developers community actually develop a GNU debugger. That is a GNU that is actually called as, if you want to say kernel based, so that stands for KGDB, or you can say GDB, that is stands for GNU based, a best choice, and commercially it is available, freely available. So GNU debugger is actually a GNU project debugger, is commonly known as GDP, allows us to sneak through the code. You can able to check the code and execute what a program trying to do at a moment before it crashes. For example, if program is crashes, if your program is crashes, before that you can go, and before that you can able to check that what kind of problems actually the system is faces. So you can check and catch the flaws in the source code. Fine. So you have to install that debugger and has a GDP prompt. Then you run the various commands also, like run command, quit command, print command, next command. So there are various commands which can be done by this steps command, continue command. So you can able to write this GDP, you will get the GDP prompt. So debuggers are only targeting a debugging user programs, that is your GDP and KGDB. For kernel issues, there are some key limitations. For debugging requires specialized two machine setup, limited ability to do the execution stepping. That means for kernel it is difficult because you required a one time of kernel as well as its execution step to debug the kernel. But to run the program, then other user programs or any system defined program, GDP is the best one. Fine. So you can use a space, and a kernel tracing is often used to have argument then. However, it can be useful part of the overall picture. There can be a breakpoints. You can inspect also the memory content, and you can also inspect the stack content. That what are the local variables, how your memory is, going virtually low. You can inspect the memory also. You can put a breakpoints also. Like for example, if you want to check that module, only one module, then you put a breakpoint. Similarly, you can inspect the memory and you can inspect the call also. In the paper, you will only getting a short note on debugging. Fine. So Linux kernel has two different kinds of debuggers. I told you about this one. It is used on system console. KDB is used in system control, not a source level debugger. जो KDB है, that is not a source level, and GDP is your actually a source level. Fine. It is not a source level aimed at doing simple analysis and diagnosis. Fine. For example, read write a memory, you can registers, you can check the list processes, you can backtrack, you can messages, you can control, set a breakpoint or a single set instructions. So for your source level, for your debugging of your source level, it is better you should use GDB. Fine. For user level, KGDB is there. For debugging your user defined programs, then you use a KGDB. For checking your systems call, for checking your hardwares and your systems, then you use the GDP. So these are the various debuggers which can be used in your. So GDP is actually capable of modifying your variables throughout the execution of your program. You can change the variables during the run. Even you can alter your breakpoints also. Fine. So debugging is actually to find a debug or to check, or you find the process ID. You should know the process ID, that which process you want to check. So all the information about GDB is before priorly known to debug your any process to any your memory. You should know the process IDs, you should know the users, and you should know the system calls to debug that programs. Fine. So this will over your unit 4, that will consist of your debuggings, and you have only a short note on debugging. Fine. These are your system calls. Few system calls you will only receive you can say a few short notes or handouts on the system calls, nothing. Similarly, on Linux schedulers, you will get a short notes on Linux scheduling. Similarly, you will get this one, a diagram, discuss the various process status of the. Then you will get a short note, discuss about the process descriptors. What do you mean by Linux process descriptors? You can draw this block diagram. You will get a short note on this one, that what do you mean by task structures, pointers, and what do you mean by task structures? What are process descriptors? State diagram. Then you have get a direct question on the plain term papers, that what do you mean by a process management? Discuss in detail in the terms of Linux. So process management. Then you have the question on Linux architecture, that discuss Linux architecture in terms of user space and kernel functions, what all functions kernel is doing it. Then these are the commands which are all related to processes, and you have the questions over these commands. Discuss about the ps command, nice command, renice command. So these are the all command processes you will get. Similarly, I will discuss one question paper with you. Let me share the screen with you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, class. Now this is a paper of 2018. Fine. So this is a paper of 2018. Like Linux discuss about the few things, the commands related to like this one, process related commands. Fine. So these are your process related commands like ps, tops, and nice. PS for process related. Similarly, Linux is more compatible with other operating systems. The features of Linux. I've discussed about the inodes for maintaining each. For each processor, we have the inode for maintaining all information. What do you mean by hard link and your soft link? Input outputs, channel input outputs. Similarly, what do you mean by a shell? A difference between shell and the KS shell. Then about the development of the Linux, if we discuss about the other things, like if I discuss about the fourth unit, where is the process state. So process state is nothing about your all the processes state running, fine, ready, waiting, scheduling. So these are all the process states which are already there in the Linux. Executing, so waiting for the resources, so running, your ready, your zombie, your termination, your stop. So these are the process diagram you have to make and discuss in that one. So these are the process state. Similarly, discuss the kernel in brief about the kernel and its functions. So there are two spaces in the Linux, one in the user space and one in the kernel space, and you have to discuss about the kernel space. Similarly, kernel debuggers, a short note on kernel debuggers. Then a short note you receive on system call. Define any 4 system calls. It can be a fork, it can be a read, it can be a piping, it can be any kind of forking, wait, executions, interrupts, signal actions. So these are all your system calls and discuss few in detail. Similarly, what do you mean by a process and discuss about the process descriptors in Linux. Then I've also discussed about the special permissions, SUID and SGID. That is your super user ID and group user special permissions. This is special permission to the user and the special permission to the group. Difference between interactive and non-interactive shells, the different features of interactive shells. We are working on interactive shell, so discuss the features of interactive and non-interactive shells. Then environmental variables. Discuss various environmental variables which are used by the systems and how they can be set by reading etc passwords. So etc passwords has your username, user passwords, path, your home directories, everything is maintained by your environmental variables, and etc password will maintain your login credentials. Similarly, commands like tail, word count, initializations, sorting, and differences of two files. Checking the two files, the content, for that one we're using the different command. To sort a file alphabetically or to file on their SCI values, then you use the sort command. So they will sort it on alphabetically on their or their SCI values, and difference command is basically to get the difference between the two commands. What do you mean by pipes and how write the some commands which are using the pipe? So like list command, and list command can be used in the WCT command. So piping is to check and to send the input of a one command to another command. So piping, that is actually a mechanism for IPC, inter-process communication. So pipes and some commands for the pipes. Similarly, changing the permissions, octal permission, symbolic permissions, and how to change the file. How do you copy the file? That is through cat command or through copy command or through any kind of other. First you have to create by touch, then copy the command, and changing the file permission by chmod or changing the permissions. Default permissions I've already told you, 666 for your file, 77 for your directory, and you can change by the permission by masking or unmasking and for the chmod. Similarly, there are archive files I have discussed in unit 2. I will try to discuss one more time the archive tomorrow if I get it a time. Archive file, various other tarzip for zipping your command for maintaining the archive, that means maintaining the file as a backlog, then you have to use an archive file. That file is not currently used, that becomes your archive file. Fine. How to create an archive command is also there, and for zipping you have to use the gunzip or zip and dzip. These are the various versions for your zipping. So I will discuss one more time, these are the zipping commands in the next class tomorrow, and also discuss the define the 3 modes of the VI editor, also how to switch on between VI modes. I'll discuss tomorrow these two things, archiving and VI modes. Basic architecture of Unix, navigation command, move command, remove command, and your catenation ordinary file system, that is your ext3 and ext4, and your Linux file system, who I am, man, and your bc command. Then your other differences, and these are short questions for your so these are few commands which you can able to, and this is a paper of 2018. So I have to discuss, I have to show that this is the unit 4 you are getting in your papers. Fine. Anything you want to ask, you can ask in between. This is a 2018.
मैम एक बार पाइपिंग फिर से बता देना.
Piping is waited, nothing is to, for example, to run commands. For example, if you want to run two commands simultaneously, fine. You want to take, for example, ls command. So ls command is to check the list. Fine. Now after checking the list, you want to filter out. For example, you can filter out. मुझे list में से कुछ ऐसे users चाहिए या list में से कुछ ऐसी files I want to extract. So I can extract that files. First I use the ls command, for example, and second I use the user command. Like for example, मुझे ऐसे processes चाहिए, so I write ls command. The output of one command will go as an input to another command. So I can use the grep command. I use a grep and I write user1, or I write file1.txt. So I will go for grep command. Grep will filter all the files from the list. ls command will give all the list. Now I want to filter. I want to filter out few lists. So for filtering, I use the grep command. And which kind of I use the pattern. For example, I want to get a txt file. So I will write grep *.txt. It will filter out all the commands from the ls command. So ls is the first command. Then I use the piping, and then I use the second command. I will discuss if I have, so I will go for it. Let me check with the slide. Wait, I will open up. Like this one. Like this one. बच्चे देखो. Like this one. For example, this is your ls command. You can able to see.
मैम स्क्रीन शेयर.
Ma'am, the screen is not shared.
Okay, let me wait.
इंद्रजीत
Now, now it is fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So grep command is actually listing of all the files with the specified expressions. For example, listing. Fine. So we have used the one command list with the option L. Fine. It will give me the list with long information. All the listing of the files which I am in the current directory, whichever is the current directory is that. So listing, this is your listing -L. So list me all the files with long information. Then this symbol is for your piping. This marking is for your piping. Fine. So this is actually a slash. So this is a divider. You can say a slash is not there, but that is a use for the piping. And that piping, that's the output of this command, will go to the grep command. Now grep command will list all the lines with this word. Like for SIDB is a word, I'm looking for it. So SIDB is a word I'm looking in them. So it will list me, it will give me all the files. Now I want to filter only those files which have the name of called SIDB in them. So it will list all the lines with the SIDB in them. So grep command will open up the dat files. It will check it out each file and give me the list of the files, and using list of the files which having the word SIDB. So I will at the end I will get that all lines which have the word SIDB, or all the files which have the word SIDB in them. Fine. Similarly, if I want to use a word R, any of the R with the files, for example, starting with the name or with the ending content, so it will go for the R, search for the R with the space on each side. So this is a one space and this is another space. So it will go for all these spaces with the searching. Like grepping is a pattern which I'm giving, and that pattern is search on this output on the list of the files. So it will search me all the files with this option or with this option. So that is called piping. When one output of one command is used as an input of another command, then it's called the piping. I have, I think, few more examples of piping, like this one. Fine, I want to list all the files with long information. Now I want to filter out the directories. From the listing, I have the binary files, I have the text file, I have the directory files. Now I want to filter only directories. So what I use, grep, fine, this marking, and then the D. That is your D. It will filter out me, it will give me to view such files which are stored, except now this is for the notation. This is means I'm not taking the D files, I'm taking all my other files. If I want to use it, I use a -D with all my D options. That means it will check it out for my D. So it will list out my all the directory files. Similarly, other options are there to view such files. For example, I want to view the list of all my symbolic. So I go for L. So grep is this one to view such file. It will show me this file. Similarly, other socket files. So this is a main list. It will producing me the whole list, and grep is filtering that list. So output of this command is used the input of this, and it will filtering out this one. So to show this file, to view this file, I use this only. So I want only this kind of, so the pattern for the grep is this. Similarly for socket, this. Similarly piped, all the pipes commands which are used, that is your for piping. So pipe are there by default, systems are there. So system pipes are there for use, for channelizing for one input to another. So system pipes, it will show me all the files which are related to the, which are acting as a pipe, which are acting as a sockets, which are acting as symbolic link, and which are acting as a character or directories or your text files. So one input from a command goes as a, one output of one command goes as an input to another command. Clear?